do you wish to be addressed?
Um, I don't know really.
Remy.
Just Remy. Yeah, just Remy.
Well, welcome, Remy, to Bases, and this is it's an introduction. So there you are. You're looking marvelous. And what part of the country are you in? Just
In
for
Stockport.
Stockport.
Yeah,
That's a real part of England, proper England, that isn't it?
yeah. Where are you, Wiltshire?
I'm down in Wiltshire. That's right. And I mean, we're talking under serious, very very serious things going on here, and
Uh,
we're boxed in. We're all sort of stuck, and you've got a presentation about Corona. But before we get to that, could you explain how you came here in terms of talking to bases and what your sort of talent base is and where you're sort of coming from? And generally speaking, why should anybody pay a blind bit of attention to a girl like you?
well, no one has to pay attention to me, but
Good
I'm
answer.
hoping
Good
that.
answer. How did you find yourself being here with talking to myself? And what interests do you have in this sort of range of subjects that we're talking about here? And today we're talking about the coronavirus. Is that right?
It's just one of the many ideas in my mind.
Good.
And when you messaged me to say, can you give us a call? Thought, all right, I'll put this idea on a presentation quickly, so I've got something to bring to it. But yeah, that's why I did that, and I do have a lot more within the meta of my mind.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. Well, you're talking about that, the coronavirus thing.
Yeah,
Although that's a picture of the sun, it's not quite the same thing. But I mean, this is
that's my point.
ah. Now I'm picking up pretty quickly that there's no flies on you, my dear. You're a pretty
What do you
smart
mean?
cook. You're a pretty smart cookie, and you've got. And what's more, you're not from my generation. So how do you feel about all this? Explain where you're coming from and what you want to say.
I just think that someone has to do something about this mess that we're in, and I do believe in the ripple effect. And I do believe that we send out frequencies, and I think that the more that it's spoke about, the more it affects people.
Yes. Now, what mess are we in from your perspective, and what are your solutions?
Everyone's heavily programmed, and so it's hard for them to see the truth. Um,
Now, excuse me. I'm going to just butt in here. I just feel that that's absolutely shocking. We have the BBC, and obviously the BBC is telling us. So, and do I see some kind of? I'm being serious here. We have got what's called mainstream media, and everybody else who gets any information from anywhere else is fake news, and they're naughty people, and they should continue to watch the BBC and mainstream, and obey and comply. Now, do you have a different view on that?
well, Miles,
Oh,
actually, the word media, it comes from ancient, I think, Latin or Babylonian, and it is actually derived from the word midi. And the midi were witches who were paid to create illusions within people and make them mad. Um,
I've never heard of that before.
yeah,
I'm
and
going to stop trying to be patronizing and stupid and interrupt. Go ahead.
so the word midi is genuinely the magician, the illusionist, the the witch. It's pure mind control. and everyone watches it. And I mean, this whole panic thing at the moment, it's heartbreaking because there's no love. Everyone's all of a sudden all for themselves, and it's an absolute disaster, really. And that is thanks to the BBC and Channel 5 and ITV and whoever else.
Some people say Comcast now that they've taken over Sky News, but that's a leading question.
Well, to be honest, I don't think the news is mainstream media anymore. I think mainstream media is the people like ourselves, because that gets the more watchers than the people who actually sit at home and watch the news, which is good.
Explain
But
that. I mean, are you saying that we're mainstream media or
I
what?
think no. Yeah, I do. I think YouTube has a hell of a lot more watchers than News at 10.
Well, if I was to tell you that we expect YouTube have already announced today that they're reducing bitrate. YouTube and Netflix are reducing bitrate because of this virus. And if I was to tell you that you are going to lose the internet fairly
Oh yeah,
soon, what would you feel about that?
I've been downloading everything that I can onto hard drives, and you know, I've got offline survival manuals because I know what's coming, and it's just such a shame because no one actually is doing anything. They're just allowing it to happen because the government say it's to happen. This is how it is. We control all the businesses. Now you can see that. We says how it is. We've always had the power. It's only now that we can actually see that, really, because what's left? I've been made out of work. Everyone I know has got no work. Shops are closing down. The only people that are going to be left is the government. This is the introduction to the New World Order. I
Well,
just didn't going like this, to be honest.
do your friends and colleagues talk like this?
No. No.
So why have you come up like this? What's the
I
unique?
have no idea.
I mean,
I think what it was I fell in love with a narcissist, and I had no idea that narcissists had existed. So it shattered my world, and so I looked for something that was more shocking than that fact, and I fell down the rabbit hole like really, really quickly.
now
And really,
that's a heck of a term. Are you aware of Alice in Wonderland, MK Ultra, that sort of
oh
stuff?
yeah, yeah. But I think everyone is under it. I think everyone's being mind controlled, and I think now that they've implemented the 5G system, you know this whole toilet roll malarkey.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe, well, no, I don't believe it, I think it, that was an experiment of the creators of the 5G system to see how well their signals worked on the people. And so, yeah, all right, let's send out a signal to go and buy toilet roll and let's see if it works. And everyone's gone out and bought toilet roll. It makes no sense.
Now, what do you call a signal?
Through the antennas.
No, but okay, messages are transmitted to antennas. That's what they're for. They're transmitters and
Yeah.
whatever. But what do you some kind of subliminal thing or what? I mean, where are you coming from on this?
I imagine it would be a very low frequency that you wouldn't really actually notice. But it would communicate with the brain. I've got nothing to support that. This is just what my brain's come up with. This is what happens. I get downloads and
how does that feel, and what happens when you do get these sort of downloads?
well, it's amazing because I've come out with things that I didn't know before I came out with it. I'm just not sure how to control it, and you know,
Do you want to control it? Is it something you feel is beneficial?
yeah, I think it would help me to know how to trigger it, because it does it it's magic. I mean, I went from being a high school dropout. You know, I was on drugs. I was running away from home. I was an absolute exorcist of a child. And then all of a sudden one day I woke up and I have no relation to that girl. I just don't. It's strange. It's bizarre.
Can I ask what generation you are? I mean, you are.
I was born in 1998. I'm 22.
So what does that make you? Does that make you a snowflake or what? Or
Snowflake.
I don't know what these. What would you identify yourself socially, or do you want to be identified socially in any particular classification?
um, Socially, I'm certainly not a social person. People don't like me. I don't know
Oh,
why.
people. No, no, okay, I've got to stop putting this stupid tone on. Who doesn't like you?
I just seem to have everyone I put trust and love into always seems to disappoint me and hurt me. No, I'm not being a victim before you say anything. Absolutely not. Because I'm quite happy with myself. I feel like I go to work every day and I put on a mask and I'm a different person. And I don't think that's an honest thing to do.
I agree with you, but there can't be consequences for not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if I surround myself with a network of people who know what I know and who can relate with what I know.
Okay, what do you know? Or do you want to say all that?
Well, you'll have to give me a topic.
Well, we've got a PowerPoint, so why don't we just get on with that?
Should we start with that?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So we'll go to the PowerPoint, and there it is, Corona. So that's your first slide, and
Do you want to explain what that is?
yeah, it's up to you, and you tell me when next slide is, and we'll just go through it.
Well, corona is the official term for the aura around the sun, and it is like, I don't know the actual number, but it's millions times hotter than the sun itself. And it's most visible during a solar eclipse. And that is a picture, an actual picture of a solar eclipse. Obviously, it must have been enhanced because it's very bright, but
Yeah.
that is the aura of the sun, basically. And it's called corona.
And then you got another slide here, coronary.
Yeah, coronary. The word comes from the Latin word coronarius. I mean, that does ring bells, doesn't it, really, when you look at that word? It's very similar to coronavirus. But anyway, it means a crown or a garland because it surrounds another round thing. Hold on, I've got the book here. That definition is not very good at all.
Okay. I'll put the slide up in the meantime. Yeah. I mean, the way you're looking at this is very interesting. I find your whole way I find that the whole way that you're actually looking at things, your replies, you've got a really good way of thinking. I like it very much.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that most sincerely, folks. Oh, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, coronary. It comes from a Latin coronarius, and it is an adjectival derivative of corona. It was applied in the later 17th century to any anatomical structure, such as an artery, nerve, or ligament, that encircles another like a crown. Are you following me or not?
Yeah, I'm following you.
So a leading example would be the heart, with its encircling blood vessels. It also means something that is curved. So basically, the royal crown with its spikes, it is actually symbolic of the corona around the sun. And in my opinion, I mean, doesn't the Earth have a geomagnetic field around it that protects
Well,
it?
it's got a magnetic field around it, which is not doing as much protection as it used to because it's degrading rapidly.
Well, I think that the sun, the corona around it, is actually that, and I think the reason it's so visible in a lunar eclipse is because something comes into its magnetic field. The moon comes that close to it that it causes a reaction, and it goes into defense mode, and it lets out the corona more visibly. But that's my
It doesn't actually do that, but what you're talking about is very important because you're talking about solar magnetic fields. And there's a Professor Valentina Zarkova, we've just done a whole 2.5 hours about solar magnetic fields. That's a very intuitive, extremely important observation. And those are really important because those magnetic fields from the sun are having a huge effect on the Earth. And it's very, very alarming.
Well, have you ever heard the saying, as above, so below?
Yes.
As within, so without?
Okay,
Well,
could you explain what you understand about those two things?
I know that within ourselves, if you look at the picture of a human cell, it's identical to a galaxy or a star, the birth of a star or whatever it is. It's absolutely identical. And I think that what happens on a massive level also happens at the same time on a very, very small micro level. And I've lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that you know as well as I do how opposite things are at the moment. Everything's wrong. You know, things are doing the opposite to what they actually should be doing. For example, social services aren't actually trying to help the children. They're causing problems for the children with the care system. The police aren't really on your side.
Well, they never have been. I think that's very important. The police are never, they're just there to maintain social order. The peelers that they were there to maintain the property of the landowners. They're not there to protect you. They're there to protect the power elite.
Exactly. And so when you realise that and you take all that into account, and then you take into the word of the media and what that really means into account, illusionists, the magicians, the jokers, if you will, then you've got to question why they're causing so much fear in humanity over something. You've got to question, what is that virus really? And is it actually a threat to us, or is it a threat to them? Because if you could look at old religious artwork, they have always got the corona, the halo.
Okay, I think that's your next slide.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, good. We'll go to that.
That's not really that'll be done. It'll do.
It'll do. Is it? Okay. Well, if it's distracting, we'll go back to we'll get off that. Fine.
We'll go to the next one. It's a bit deep, that one.
Oh,
so,
yeah, okay. We can go back.
Yeah, that's another one I thought was quite funny. In the background of the famous artwork of Jesus' crucifixion, there's those little, they look like spacecrafts or something in the sky.
Well, I think they do, yes.
But they do resemble, in my opinion, the coronavirus. I don't know if you see it or if you don't.
Okay, no, this is your thesis. You're doing well. Continue.
I mean, it is debatable, but I'm open to anything else. Anyway, if you go to the next one.
Do you want to go back?
No, go forward.
Okay. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Now that's a very I haven't seen that artwork. That where did you see that from?
Apparently, it's a very famous religious artifact in the Catholic Church, and it's a crown of sorts. So I'll have to look that up. As I say, I've only been doing this the last couple of hours, so it's
okay. Well, we're getting your point. Okay, don't worry. We're getting your point.
But I actually cropped that off an image with Jesus and everything like that. But yeah, I'm sure if you were to do a reverse image search, it would come up. But it's a religious artifact, and it represents. I'm sure it represents the sun, the crown.
Well, the crown of thorns, perhaps, which is also symbolic of a corona of thorns. You know, very symbolic. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you go back to the picture that I didn't want to look at a minute ago, with the thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you see how she's got the thorns going directly into her heart.
This is very important stuff.
It is
you're
important.
Covering.
Coronary heart. As above, so below, as within, as without. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I can't help but feel that maybe Mother Nature is trying to protect us.
Yes.
And I think full well that the elite know, and they're trying to eradicate it as quickly as possible.
The elite are trying to eradicate Mother Nature. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying I know it for sure. This is my view on it.
Well, this is what it's all about. This is your view, your look on things. And you're coming up with very serious, deep concepts and things. And
it is open to speculation because it's a very early idea. I've only really come up with this the last couple of days because I've got a book and I really like it. It's called The Dictionary of Word Origins. And I thought, right, I'm going to look into the word corona because there's got to be a reason why of all the things in the world they've named it corona. And then it led me to all
have you heard of a guy called Jordan Maxwell?
Jordan Maxwell.
He's been in this field for quite some time, but he explains a lot of things and symbols and coats of arms, banks, and all that sort of stuff.
It's with I think it was on a talk show with Michael Fazarian at one time.
Yeah.
Imagine him, Jordan Maxwell.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. No, I've not really looked into him a lot.
He is one of the what you might call old school, but he's interpreted a lot of the fundamental symbols and why they're in plain sight and what they're telling us all the time. But you're very astute in what your observations are.
Well, I find it really interesting, and I also find it really stupid on their behalf that they leave these crumbs of evidence. It makes no sense.
Well, maybe they're trying to tell you something because if you comply, this is one of the most important features about what's going on. They tell you what we're going to do, and they put it in plain sight. And then they've told you, and you let them get on doing it. But with the kind of observations that you're doing, you've now got the opportunity right now to say, no, we're not going to allow this.
Yeah,
you're refusing permission.
The language of it.
You deny them consent. That's why they give you those.
That's very true, because maybe when they throw it in our face the way that they do, that kind of is a loophole within the divine laws of the universe.
Exactly. You are exactly correct.
That's that's naughty.
It's very naughty. It's very naughty indeed. If I put £1 billion right in front of you and it was your money, and I said I'm going to take that away from you, and you don't do anything about it, you have consented to me taking that £1 billion from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you have the power, you now have the power to not consent, to deny your permissions for them to do what they're doing to you. You have that power right now. Next slide.
Yeah.
Was that too much?
No, it's very. This is why I wanted to do this, because I think two minds put together, it helps.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've got this next one. A lot of symbolism there.
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, in my opinion,
Corona said to be transmitted through snakes.
and she stood on a snake, and the aura in the background, it looks like a virus. The colour.
Yes.
And the crown around her head. I'm sure there's a lot to dissect with that image, and I'm sure a lot of people will in the future. I've not really had time to go into depth, but it's probably a good thing, because if I did go into depth, I'd never come out of the depth.
No, you would. You'd be good because you're very clever. You're coming up with some very important stuff here. We've got another slide about the sun and something else. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a diagram of the virus. That is the structure of the sun. Now, I see similarities there. I really do.
And could you explain why did you choose the drawing on the right?
Because it was a good comparison, good comparative image to the one on the left.
And what is it actually? Why did you choose it? What's the
That's
thing
the
in there?
coronavirus.
Ah, okay.
And that's the sun.
Okay, moving on, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on if you like.
Yeah. I have to say that we have done a major masterclass in the sun and the meaning of a lot of the stuff with Professor Valentina Zarkova.
I think this is another one that's quite important, this picture. Because those, the things in the corners around it.
You've left the picture blank on the right, so explain that.
It's terrible editing, otherwise. You know the flowers that are on the frame of the woman?
Yes.
Well, if you take that woman away and you enlarge the redness behind her, they semi look like those little things that are on the coronavirus. You know, the little you know what I mean, don't you?
No, explain it. I'm not going to get you away. I'll help, but I won't do things for you. You'll have to explain it.
You know, like when they show you the virus.
Okay, right.
Do you understand? When it's a detailed picture. That was my thought anyway. It's stupid.
Okay, no, it's not stupid. Explain that. You're on a thought. Tell us what your thought is.
They look almost like poppies.
Okay.
I don't know what the word is for them. The
Shamrocks.
Yeah.
Triple spirals.
The one the virus is a sphere with bumps in it. And they're a circular cylinder shape. Like, have you ever seen one of those dog toys?
Well, if I haven't, maybe the audience has, but continue, explain.
It's a round dog toy that's got spikes on it. Well, that's what the coronavirus looks like. but they're the same shape as that frame. And then, is it still on the screen?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Just the three things in the corner. They just reminded me of the tubes that come off the virus in the pictures. And then she's got the knife in the heart. But she seems to be embracing the knife in the heart. And there seems to be light coming out of it.
Yes.
And there's light coming out of the sun at the same time.
Okay.
And the expression on her face. She's not in pain, is she?
No. That's okay. Explain. Tell us what you are feeling about this.
I'll have to read you something. In fact, go to the next slide. I think I'll put it on there.
Okay. Maybe COVID-19 is here to shield us. Just as the sun is shielded by its corona aura, maybe Mother Earth is trying to shield her children from cybernetics. There are major connections with Morgellons as well. Explain that. That's all very serious stuff.
I know that everything is always the opposite as to what it seems, and in the prophecies and in the Bible of the Revelations and everything, you know, it comments on how everyone is kind of in the wrong, looking at the wrong way of it. You know, it's so polar of dark and of light. And once you begin to see the light within the dark and the dark within the light, that's the only time you can ever actually see what's really going on. Because although that this is coming across as such a horrible, negative thing, there's just something within my inner being that tells me that it's not here to hurt us. It's really not.
Well, we are in very early days of this situation, and you have got an insight, perhaps, which is exactly correct.
I don't want to. Well, actually, it's probably good. Maybe I should manifest it, because, you know, we can do that. That's another important thing people don't realise. When we focus on something so hard, we really do bring it into reality. It's magic.
Well, that is what they do. They get you to do that. They use your meta abilities to make things. We make it for them. We dig our own graves.
When really we could use it against them.
Yes, Remy. Yes.
I mean, even if I'm false, but we can somehow try and all believe that I'm telling the truth. And we do manifest this virus into something that saves us. But it is possible. It sounds delirious. I know it sounds delirious, but it's possible. I've seen it happen. We're so powerful as human beings, but we're just programmed to obey and work and conform and don't do this, don't do that, don't come up with ideas. You learn what we teach you. You don't get to learn what you want to learn, you know, and they're all okay with it because it's been going on for so many years that it's within our DNA and it's so hard to shake off.
Well, it isn't happening with you. Why do you think you're able to be different? Why do you? I mean, this is wonderful what you're saying.
Maybe my ancestors knew a lot and they've given it me. Because we do pass our knowledge through DNA.
What do you know about that?
Well, it's to do with the monarch programming, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that years and millenniums ago, if you will, these priests and priestesses went over to India and places like that to learn off the shamans in trance meditation and numerology and all these sacred things, and then they've passed it on to their children. And this is to do with the bloodlines, and it's to do with the mind controls, and it's through that knowledge that the people who are under MK Ultra and Monarch programming, they have different abilities to everyone else because of the knowledge within their genetics. That's why it's very important that they keep the genetics as clean as possible. Otherwise, it gets muddled up.
Well, there's a lot of sensitive and very knowledgeable, wise people all wiped out in Europe around about AD 500. There was a lot of effort, a great deal of effort in these islands to stamp any of the kind of things that you're talking about out.
What do you mean?
Well, the wise people, the wise men and women of the village, the suppression of the feminine, that all happened. The divine feminine. Have you heard of Notre Dame?
Yeah, Nostradamus. Yeah.
And what happened there?
Yeah, it's something I've not actually looked into.
Well, it was built on the temple of Isis.
No.
It was.
Oh, I never knew that.
And it's on an island, and the island is the River Seine goes past it and empowered that device to suppress the divine feminine. So the divine feminine now is free to rise.
Is that what that was all about?
Yeah.
So what about Sophia? Or is it the same thing?
Same sort of stuff.
Oh, wow. I always thought Isis was an Egyptian.
Well, Isis, yes, yeah. The temple of Isis. Yeah, that's a whole different ball game, but it's a temple. It was a temple.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot in there. That's why something happened. Somebody moved heaven and earth to take that facility out. A technical psychotronic facility.
Oh, really?
Caroline Emmerich does a lot of stuff on that. The cultures of Europe, the intuitive and sensitive individual wise people of the village pursued. There's been a massive attack on all of that globally, of all the races, all the wise people.
Something needs to be done.
Yes.
It's killing me.
Now it needs to be done. Okay, we've got the third book of the Apocalypse. Do you want to talk about that? Is that too early for you?
Yeah, it's very important actually because it complements my theory, if you will. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's on screen now. Now, a lot of your images have all, I think, almost all of them have been of the Virgin Mary, or is it the Madonna? Do correct me. With the stars.
Honestly, I don't know. I just typed in on Google, religious art, old religious art, and I've copied and pasted it into this.
Okay.
But I thought that was very.
And you've done all this, this evening when I asked you to come up with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's about an hour's work. It's very good. You're doing a hell of a lot of good work.
Yeah.
So explain what this means. The third book of the Apocalypse, the prophecy of the second coming, chapter 3. And the Father will send to the earth a protector, and she will be clothed with the sun and ride on a chariot of gold, and her name will be Gaia, and she will carry the seed of life, and her body will be as a womb for all that live on the earth, but she will not be known until the last days come upon earth, and there is darkness and decay. This is one of many corresponding quotes within the prophecies. That's pretty deep stuff for a young girl.
It
on
is,
these deep, dark times that we're in at the moment.
Look at that picture. This is why I use that picture. Where the baby, the womb is placed. coincidentally in a chest with the spikes coming off of it.
Yeah.
And so, have you ever read this book? I highly recommend it to anyone.
The Rising of Chaos.
Rising Out of Chaos.
Rising Out of Chaos, and it's by Simon Peter Fuller. And what's the subtitle there? It's just not quite clear. The New Heaven and the Newer Earth, is that right?
Yeah, Awakening Global Consciousness.
This is wonderful. Your music to my ears, Remy.
Oh, good. I'm so worried I was going to bore you.
No, you're not. You're absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Including your very good answers to some of my thinly veiled sarcasm. You came up with some pretty good responses to that.
I was expecting a lot worse.
You were?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is basically an introduction. You're a deep thinker. You're studying. Where do you feel that your generation, where do you feel that people can spend these weeks now of isolation in our homes? Where do you feel people could do best with their time?
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this really bluntly, with fully awareness that I sound like an absolute dickhead. But my inner urge is we need to build an army, and we need to take these motherfuckers down. I'm not going to.
No, but this is serious. You're a beautiful young girl. You've got you're coming up with stuff like this, and I mean,
we've run out of time.
You're clearly very, very not happy about the existing powers that be.
I'm really concerned. I was concerned before this pandemic.
Now, the way you said that suggested you didn't quite believe there was a pandemic.
Honestly, I just think that they are causing everyone to fear, and it is causing everyone to turn into absolute narcissists, because they're in survival mode. So all of a sudden, no one else matters. They've just got to survive.
Yeah.
And so they're all going out and they're very selfishly buying everything in the shop, not thinking about anyone else. And you know, it's so wrong. And the media, the mainstream media, are encouraging it, if not influencing it. And it breaks my heart.
Well, Remy, I think you're entirely correct. We've got to do something about this now.
Right now, because we're just going to end up. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible, because I think that this is their excuse now to militarize everything, to run everything without independent businesses or anything like that. I think they're going to introduce artificial intelligence shopping and you know, this self-isolation thing. I think they're going to use and abuse that to the max.
Well, we've got this opportunity now. We've made this you've been talking for 43 minutes or so.
44 minutes.
Yeah, you've done really well.
Okay.
So let's call this an introduction, Remy. You're a good girl, and may you inspire many others with what you've done tonight.
All right. Thank you for giving me the time to talk.
It is absolutely a joy to have done this. It's so wonderful to hear your thinking and your observations. It really is a wonderful thing.
Hey, Miles, you have had a remarkable influence on my life and my knowledge and the things I've learnt through watching the Bases, and watching the Bases, it got me through a real awful time. So I really commend you for the work that you've done.
Well, thank you.
It can't have been easy, and I'm sure it's still not easy, but it is doing something. certainly done something with me anyway. So I thank you for that.
Well, thank you. You are a true inspiration, and it's made it all worthwhile. Thank you on that.
Okay.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.